Go ahead and let me know in the chat if you've got a question for him, and I'll call you, and we'll go from there. We'll go ahead and get started with Max Franke from Bear Insider.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Well,
Could you talk about your new food plan? Coach Sermon gave us a little bit of hint about it last week, and we'd love to hear more about what that new thing you're doing is.
yeah, it's been something we've been working on for quite a while, and just a way to supplement what they've been doing. So working with our administration and obviously with compliance to make sure we're operating within the rules, but just a really more availability, kind of more options, grab and go. Certainly, since we have restrictions on, we can't have indoor dining. So how we the quality, availability, amounts of food, and really encouraging them to own their nutrition. And it's, for a lot of guys, it's as important as working out. So I think it's been something that we've seen the benefits of in a really short time frame. So it's really encouraging across the board of what we've been able to do and what the players have been able to benefit from.
Hey, Max, any follow-ups?
Yeah, I heard you replicated a food plan from Utah, and could you talk about how the new nutrition plan is different from last year?
I don't know that we replicated it from anybody. We got a lot of information from different places throughout the country. We obviously talked to our administration. We talked to the Pac-12, NCAA to make sure we were, compliant. But just, again, availability of food, types of food, quantities, packaging, all those things that have made it more user-friendly. And again, the quality has been, the Cal Dining's done a fantastic job. And I think the players, if you ask them, would recognize the difference in the past 6 months or so in terms of the food and the nutrition. So it's been a really positive thing for our team.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Trace Travers from Rivals.
Yeah, Coach, you guys had your first scrimmage of the spring on Saturday. I guess we got a bunch of statistics without a lot of context. How did it go from your perspective?
Really good competitive day. I thought the level of competitiveness and the energy on both sides of the ball and in our special teams competition was really good, which is what you need as a prerequisite. The execution was, like any first scrimmage. There's some good, there's some not so good. We got a lot of people, got a lot of reps. So it was a longer, I think we were in the, hundreds there in terms of the number of plays we got. So it was, there's just so much to teach off. You almost don't have enough meeting time to get all the teaching in. So we really had to be efficient on these follow-up days of getting that tape watched, but really, really positive overall. Just still, plenty of work. Anytime there's a first scrimmage of a spring, it's not going to be exactly what you always want, but I was encouraged with their energy and competitiveness.
Yeah, and to continue off of that, is there still a lot of mixing and matching as far as personnel, making sure guys get reps with different people, not necessarily building a depth chart at this point?
Absolutely. To read in too much into the depth chart right now, you can dive into it all you want. We're working on getting guys valuable repetitions, and sometimes that's mixing and matching groups. So it's really just the quality and the quantity of reps is what we're looking for.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to David Bush from Bear Insider.
Morning, Justin. What does it mean to you and to the team to have Cameron Good back for another year? And how has he been so far?
He keeps getting better. That's really, I think it's such a joy to watch the returning seniors, and some of these guys are 6-year players who are improving their game. And Cam's one of those guys. Just his understanding of the defense, his consistency and technique. He's, he's, I think, 240 pounds right now. He's still got a really good first step as a pass rusher, but he's becoming more and more accustomed to and valuable in coverage when he's dropping. So I think he's done a great job. So really, really looking forward to him continuing to develop. And it's sometimes it's harder once you've been here 4 or 5 years to, the things that you got to improve upon, become kind of small little things, but he's really, really taken ownership in that and been fun to watch.
And it looks like we're going to get Tommy Castakas on the interview here. He had quite a few catches Saturday. How's he doing? And you talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, Tommy really showed up on Saturday. I think the receivers as a group, I don't know off the top of my head the number, but there were 5, 6, 7 contested catches. And I'm talking about it's covered. They weren't wide open and they just went up and got the ball. And Tommy had, I think two of those or 3 of them. So he was noticeable on Saturday. And so a guy that doesn't have a ton of experience here, but continues to come out. And if he continues to work like he's been working and compete like that, there'll be good things ahead for Tommy.
Thanks.
And we'll go to Jake Curtis from Cal Sports Report.
Yeah, Justin. Zach Johnson had numbers that were really impressive, but I don't know whether he's working with the ones or against the one defense or the 2 defense. What was your impressions of his showing on Saturday?
I think he took a pretty good leap from the Wednesday prior. I thought he was pretty efficient running the offense. I think Zach, again, doesn't have a ton of experience here, but he's really a sharp guy. He, he acts like a quarterback on the field. I mean, the way he, was in the huddle, commanding the huddle, I think he's improving. I mean, he needs practice, I mean, the more the better for a guy like Zach right now. But he showed improvement from last Wednesday until Saturday. I know that.
Was he working mostly against the 2 defense?
Again, I think you could come out to practice, Jake, and you might see it one way one day and another way the next. So at times he is, at times, and at times he's not. So.
Okay. Jim McGill, Bear Insider.
Hey, Justin, we saw some good numbers for some guys. We talked about Castakas, Orrin Pettus, another one whose numbers jumped out. What did he do well on Saturday? And do you feel like he can give you a good boost on the pass rush this year?
I think Orrin is playing his best football yet, which is what we would expect. He's becoming better on first and second down, those mixed downs. Orrin's always had a natural ability to get off the ball in a pass rush situation. But as we know, if you got to do a great job on first and second down to get in some of those pass rush situations. So I think he's definitely improving. He still will improve when it comes to those things. But I think in terms of his body has developed, he's developed more of the skills that it takes to be an every down outside linebacker at this level. And he's just got to continue to approach practice and meetings with that same intensity each day and give himself the best opportunity to help the team.
And with regard to Chase, had a bit of an uneven season last year, and numbers didn't really pop on Saturday, but obviously it's super early. What does he need to do this year to get back on track and have a solid season, kind of like 19?
Yeah, I would say, reading maybe too much into the numbers might be a little misleading on a day like that. But as always, we want to be really efficient with the football at that position. I think Chase understands what we're trying to do on offense. He's got a good grasp of, working with Coach Musgrave now for a year, or a little over a year. I think he's got a good understanding of the language and the concepts. And now it's just repetitions and, being efficient with the football. And it's probably the small things, but they make the biggest difference, and I think he's going to continue. Chase has always done a really pretty good job on the second and third play, after the first one doesn't go quite right, being able to scramble and make something happen, get on the perimeter, do some things with his legs. And now I think the more and more he's comfortable with plays that are on schedule, I think he can be even better. So I expect for him to continue to improve.
Last question, the running game numbers looked pretty good on Saturday. You're pretty encouraged by what you saw out there?
Yeah, I think with the number of guys that we feel good about, carrying the ball or catching the ball out of the backfield or protecting in protection, it's been nice to have, a few guys that can do that. And they're all a little bit different. And then some younger guys that are getting a few more opportunities this spring. But I thought could kind of go through the list and, some things they did well with, Chris and Marcel and Damian had a really nice run, Ashton Stredick and Chris Street. Let's see, there's somebody, DeCarlos had a couple really nice runs in our red zone period. So it's encouraging to see those guys really kind of step up their game because, as we talked about earlier, I mean, that's what spring ball is about. Everybody's got to improve because in order for us to accomplish what we want to accomplish offensively and as a team, then that's what's got to happen.
Great, thanks.
Okay, we'll go to Kate Rooney with Channel 4.
Hey, Justin. After, the emotional roller coaster that was last season, what would you say the general feeling or the vibe is of spring football so far?
Well, the general vibe, it's like when we go out there and are able to practice, I think it's probably the most fun anybody's having because of, some of the restrictions that are in place right now with school. Guys are virtual school, so they kind of go to their apartment and do that. And, they're not in the locker room. They get to work out in the weight room, which is great. But probably the most normal any of us feel is when we can go out there and practice football, and do what we love to do. So the energy in the practices has been just noticeable. It's never been bad here. I've always thought these guys come and practice with really good energy relative to the other experiences that I've had. But I mean, this spring it's just been noticeable. I mean, even today, the amount of kind of banter back and forth, the competitiveness during those team periods, the one-on-ones, I think guys just excited to be out there and competing. So that's probably the most noticeable thing to me.
And then piggybacking off David's question a little bit, is there any extra, motivation or just excitement because of that group of seniors that chose to come back this season?
Well, I think it's a motivated group in general. Those seniors who are some really good players and also some great leaders for us. I think it says a lot about them and what they want to accomplish and what it says about the program. It's important to them. It wasn't a race for the exit by any means. Those guys, treasure and value what the team brings to them and also their experience and having a chance to go out and play football again. And so I think the group in general is a very motivated group. And it's a lot of fun to coach guys like that because they, on a day like today, day number 8 of spring ball, and there's no crowd, there's nobody making an edit of them. They're out there working to get better because it's important to them. So I think that speaks to the character of the guys on the team.
And last one from me, which position group or personnel groups or positions are you kind of looking to see the most development from this spring?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, all of them. I can go through each position group and point out where we have the opportunity to improve and get better. And that's why I think as coaches, like spring ball is the most enjoyable part of the year for us because that's truly what this is about. It's going out and improving, and you can really kind of peel back the layers and get to the bare bones of working on football. So I could go through every position group and give you examples of where they can improve and how they have improved, and even eight practices. So that's what's got all of us so encouraged. Now we got to, we kind of talk about it all the time, enthusiasm over 1 or 2 days or even the first week, like that's pretty common. I think you see that for all of us. It's like New Year's resolutions, right? First week, no problem. Okay. It's, week 32, 38, 45, so now we see who's got the endurance to continue to work on their craft and improve, coaches, players alike. So that's what we're focusing on.
Okay, go to Jackson Moore from 24/7.
Coach, it appears Raymond Woody saw a lot of reps, or he was listed with a few tackles. Just what's been the approach for him this spring, and what have you seen with him early on?
Approach is work out and get ready to go. I mean, he's jumped in. Ray's had experience in college football, so different than maybe a mid-year high school enrollee. He's played college football. He picks things up quickly. It makes sense to him. He's been around football his entire life. He's got a really good attitude about it. He's playing hard, and I think he's just becoming more and more comfortable with the calls and the kind of small details within each of those calls. But encouraged with his improvement so far.
And Trey Pastor was listed with 4 tackles. Did you see some of the glimpses that you had hoped at this new position?
Yeah, absolutely. I think kind of each day Trey will do something that flashes, whether it's run game or pass game. And it's really nice to see, maybe a play that he made a mistake on one day, and then the next day he plays it correctly. So you see that, ability to learn and learn from his mistakes. So that's a real encouraging thing. Watching him go through that, and I think all of us are eager to watch Trey develop as a linebacker.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we'll go back to Max Frankie from Bear Insider.
Coach, you've seen a lot of high school athletes in your day. How does this incoming recruiting class that you see right now compare to the ones you've seen in the past, like not just at Cal, but at Wisconsin, Oregon, other schools?
Yeah.
How does this one look to you?
Max, because I've seen so many of them, I always really reserve judgment, because I could give you so many stories of making a judgment one way or the other too soon. There's just so many variables. The physical ability, is one thing, but the game of football takes more than just that. You have to have some ability, and the more you have, the higher your ceiling, but there's just so much more to it. The meetings, the workouts, the consistency that it takes to be a great player and a great team. And so I think my experience has taught me that, to not judge too soon, one way or the other, whether somebody comes in and the first week is just amazing athletically, but, you got to make sure that they can sustain and we can help them continue to grow as a player. And then, I've got stories about guys that I can think of a couple when I was at Boise State that came in, and 2 DBs. Chris Carr, who played for the Raiders. You guys remember Chris Carr? I'll never forget his first practice at Boise State. He was a high school running back, and he came in and we did defensive back. He came in as a defensive back, and he came in and couldn't really backpedal. And I remember thinking, boy, this is going to be a process. Can he play DB? Fast forward, he played how many ever years in the NFL? Jerron Johnson, Seahawk safety, was the same thing. Linebacker in high school, we played him at safety. He came in, he couldn't backpedal. So I think you got to be real careful when they're that age. You judge too soon for whatever reason. It's a matter of, can they work? Are they willing to work? Do they have the ability to learn? Do they have the necessary skills to grow in their position? So I'm always, I'm encouraged by this group, Max. I think there's some really talented guys, but ultimately time will tell.
So Jermaine Terry came in at 275, I think, initially. Do you see his weight as a problem? And how much of a passing tight end do you think he'll be, and how much of a blocking tight end?
He's a big guy. And the strength conditioning program here will be different than what he was used to in high school. And that's not uncommon, for a guy coming in from a high school to a college program. So he will develop his body as a college football player over the course of time. He's been very, very eager, which is, first and foremost, that's kind of what we look for. Is he coachable? Does he want to learn? And Jermaine has absolutely been a coachable guy. He's out there early, working with Jeep. And so really encouraged by that. He does have some physical tools. Obviously, he's big and strong. He can catch the ball. He had a couple really nice catches today. But it's just, there's a lot more, and it takes time. And so we're going to just continue to work with him, but we're all really, really glad he's here.
Thanks. One more. Who do you see as Cam Bynum's replacement in the notorious Cal secondary?
Yeah, we will see. I think there's some guys that are taking advantage of some opportunities. Josh Drayton's back with us. Josh plays corner and nickel, doing a good job. I think Chiggy has improved. I think now we're just looking for his kind of consistency and performance with Chiggy. Colin Gamble has flashed this last year, and then especially this spring. There's some younger guys that also have, made some plays this spring that have been noticeable. So I think time will tell in that position. But again, I think we like the group, and we just got to continue to work at it here throughout spring football.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, go back to Trace Travers.
Yeah, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, are you kind of bummed that you're not working with the DBs directly now that you hired a DB coach?
Who said I wasn't, Trace?
Yeah, how is it?
No,
How'd you get Coach Watson in?
Oh, yeah. So I've known Trey, I guess 10 years now. He played for us at Washington. He had walked on there, and I knew him in high school. I was at Boise State and recruited him out of high school. I remember him then. And he walked on to Washington, and we got there, and he was just, Trey he was never maybe the biggest or the fastest guy, but he was really smart. He loved football. He worked at it like no other. And so you always kind of knew, this guy probably in the end would be a really good coach, but earned his way on the field, played corner and safety for us there, and I've kind of kept up with him over the years. And so really glad he joined us. He's just a really good person. He's very smart and has got a very bright future. So he kind of jumped right in, but there's still a lot of language, semantics to learn as you enter into a new defense, and it's probably not fair to just hand him the playbook and tell him to go run the meeting the next day. So we're working through that, but he's absolutely, in with the players right now, doing a ton of technique work as we get caught up to speed and installs and corrections. So I still get to go to those meetings.
Gotcha. And you mentioned with kind of to the other side of the ball, you mentioned with Castakas, the receiver group as a whole. Want to talk about Jeremiah Hunter and Justin Baker, a couple of those guys who caught touchdown passes from what we saw. What have you seen from them so far?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, that group as a whole, the contested catches, the kind of big plays that they've created this spring has been noticeable. Now we got to sustain and we got to build off of that. But Jeremiah seems to make one each day. And, Justin had a big one on Saturday. So again, very encouraged by the group. And now it's building on that and, getting that performance consistently, which is what, and what we're all looking for at every position. But we are excited about that room.
Okay, Jim McGill from Bear Insider.
Coach, sorry to keep you so long today. Just
Fine.
about my question. I was talking with Coach McClure the other day, and he said, the abbreviated spring last year was pretty tough with only 4 practices. He said, since you only play once a week, each practice is almost kind of like a game for football. Are you noticing the added benefits of now exceeding last spring by a couple practices and having quite a few more on the board leading you into the fall?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what our team needs. I mean, we need the development. We need the time together. We need repetitions of technique and scheme, all those things. So that's why we practice. I mean, if not, I think you just show up and play the games. This is experience for our players and our team is invaluable.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody with the final question for Coach? Give you 5 seconds here to put something in the chat. Otherwise, we'll catch you again